You learned very early how to read a room, not from a book, not from anyone who sat you down and explained it. You learned the way children learn the most important things, by surviving, by watching, by developing in the quiet space behind your eyes a kind of radar that most adults do not even know exists. You could tell from the sound of a door closing what kind of evening it was going to be. You could feel the shift in the air before anyone raised their voice. That particular pressure that settled over the house like a change in weather. You knew the difference between the silence that meant safety and the silence that meant something was about to break. And you were already preparing. Maybe you made yourself smaller, slipped to your room before anyone noticed you were there, laughed at the right moments, said the right things, became, without anyone asking you to, a child who caused no additional weight, because the house was already carrying so much, and you could feel every gram of it. People probably called you shy, or sensitive, or too emotional. And you wore those words like a coat that never quite fit. Because from the inside, it did not feel like sensitivity. It felt like awareness. It felt like you were simply picking up signals that everyone else seemed able to ignore. You were not wrong. You were not too much. You were a child with an extraordinary nervous system placed inside an environment that had no idea what to do with it. And what happened to you in that house, what that combination of depth and chaos quietly built inside you, is something most people carry their entire lives without ever having a name for it. If you know that feeling, that lifelong hum of alertness that never quite turns off, then you already know what I mean when I say that growing up sensitive in a loud home does not just shape a childhood. It shapes everything that comes after. Psychologists call this sensory and emotional hypervigilance. It is when the nervous system, after years of living in an environment of emotional unpredictability, learns to remain permanently switched on, permanently scanning, permanently braced for the next wave before it arrives. This is not anxiety in the way most people use that word. It is not worrying about things that might go wrong. It is deeper than that. It is the body itself, the muscles, the breath, the baseline hum of the nervous system, learning that stillness is not safe, that the moment you relax your guard is the moment something catches you unprepared. This is not weakness. This is the nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you. It simply never received the signal that the danger had passed. And it shows up everywhere, long after the loud house is gone. It is the adult who flinches at raised voices in a film long after they have left the room where raised voices meant something real. The person who over-apologizes before anyone has expressed frustration, who monitors the emotional temperature of every room they enter. A habit so automatic, so deeply wired, that they do not even realize they are doing it. Who feels other people's tension in their own chest before those people have said a single word. They are not broken. They are not oversensitive. They are a person whose nervous system was trained by a childhood that asked too much of it. And they are carrying that training still. Let me tell you about Danielle. Daniel grew up in a house that was full of people, full of noise, full of emotion that moved through the rooms like weather. Sudden, unpredictable, and total. His father was a man who loved deeply and loudly, whose happiness was enormous and whose anger was the same. His mother felt everything at high volume and had no quiet place inside herself to put any of it. Arguments arrived without warning and ended without resolution. Laughter could turn sharp in the space of one sentence. It was not a loveless home. That is the part that made it confusing. There was love, genuine love. But love in that house did not come with steadiness. It came in waves, warm and overwhelming, then cold and withdrawn, then warm again. And Daniel, who had been born feeling more than most, absorbed every shift of it. He was 6 years old the first time he understood that he could feel what other people felt before they showed it. He could not have explained it then. He would not have had the words. But he knew. He would be sitting quietly with his toys when something changed in his father's posture, barely visible, and Daniel would feel it land in his own chest like a stone dropped into still water. And he would begin, without knowing why, to be careful. He learned to be very, very careful. He learned to dim himself in the moments when the house was unstable, to hold his questions until the room felt safer, to laugh when laughter seemed needed and disappear when silence was safer still. He became a child who took up the precise amount of space the current emotional temperature allowed. No more, never more. And who paid for this skill with the constant, exhausting labor of calculation. His teachers noticed he was perceptive, kind, unusually attuned to others, and he was. But underneath that attunement was something they could not see. The permanent low-grade exhaustion of a child whose nervous system had never once been given permission to stand down. He grew up, left the house, built a life that looked from the outside like calm. But inside, the radar never switched off. In a quiet office, in a peaceful relationship, in a life with no raised voices and no sudden storms, his body still scanned, still waited, still held itself slightly braced for the wave it had learned in that loud and loving house to expect. He did not know why he could not relax. He did not know why kindness sometimes made him more anxious than anger. He did not know why he felt, in moments of genuine safety, a strange and inexplicable urge to create distance, as though peace itself were something he did not quite trust. And here is where the psychology deepens, because here is the part of this story that most people never reach. And it is the part that changes not just how you understand what happened to you, but how you understand the person you became because of it. I will come back to that. Hold that thought. The child who survived emotional chaos by becoming exquisitely sensitive to others did not come out of that house damaged. They came out of it extraordinary. Stay with that. The nervous system that learned to read a room, that developed under pressure a capacity for emotional attunement that most people will spend their entire adult lives trying to cultivate. That is not a wound dressed up as a skill. It is a genuine skill, built under impossible conditions by a child who had no other tools available. The sensitivity that made childhood so exhausting is the same sensitivity that makes you, as an adult, the person others instinctively trust. The one people call when they do not know how to say what they are feeling. The one who notices without being told, without needing it explained, when someone in the room is not okay. The one who loves with a depth and attention that quieter people who grew up in calmer houses sometimes cannot reach. The very thing that cost you so much is also the thing that makes you irreplaceable to the people lucky enough to know you. Here is the cruel irony at the center of it. The loudness of your childhood home taught your nervous system that emotional depth was dangerous. And so the very gift your sensitivity gave you, the capacity to feel, to understand, to hold other people's experience inside your own, became something you learned to distrust, to manage, to apologize for. You became a person carrying a rare and extraordinary instrument and taught to keep it hidden because someone, once, could not handle the sound it made. The exhaustion you feel in social situations is not weakness. It is the output cost of a nervous system running at a higher resolution than the people around you. You are not receiving the world the way they are. You are receiving more of it, more signal, more texture, more weight. That is not a flaw in your design. That is the design. And the people who built the loudest homes, who moved through life at high emotional volume with no awareness of the waves they made, they were not monsters. They were simply people without the very gift they inadvertently gave you. People who never learned to feel the room, who never needed to. You did. And it made you something they were not. But this does not happen automatically. The brain is not fixed. This matters more for you than for almost anyone, because the pathways that encoded alertness as survival, that taught your nervous system to stay permanently braced, are not permanent architecture. They are learned responses. And what was learned can, slowly and with enormous gentleness, be unlearned. Not erased, not overwritten. Gradually, quietly given less authority. And part of the healing, the part that does not get spoken about enough, is grief. Grief for the child who deserved stillness and did not receive it, who deserved to feel things without immediately calculating whether those feelings were safe to show, who deserved a home where the emotional volume was low enough that their nervous system could rest. That child was real. That child deserved more than they were given. And acknowledging that, not with bitterness, but with honest, clear-eyed recognition, is not weakness. It is the beginning of giving yourself something that child never had. The healing does not arrive all at once. It does not come as a decision or a revelation or a single conversation that reorders everything. It comes in moments, small, almost invisible moments where the radar fires, and you notice it firing, where the old reflex rises, and you name it before it moves your hands, where someone is kind to you, and instead of immediately asking yourself what they want, you allow, for 3 seconds, for 5, the possibility that the kindness is simply real. That pause is enormous. It does not look like anything from the outside, but inside, it is the nervous system receiving a message it has been waiting its entire life to hear. You are safe. You do not have to scan. The wave is not coming. It starts with awareness, with learning to recognize the hypervigilance not as your personality, but as a response, one that served you then and is allowed to rest now. A hand placed gently on that part of you that is always watching, and a quiet, honest word. I see you. You kept me safe for a long time. You can breathe now. The sensitive child who survived a loud house does not need to become someone less feeling. They do not need to build thicker walls or quieter responses, or a version of themselves that takes up less space. They need, perhaps for the first time, to discover what their sensitivity feels like when it is not in service of survival. What it feels like when it is simply, honestly, quietly theirs. And maybe today is the first moment that possibility feels real. If you are the child this video describes, the one who learned to read every room, who made themselves smaller so the house felt lighter, who grew up feeling everything at full volume in a world that had no idea what to do with that, then hear this. Your sensitivity was never the problem. It was the solution. The only one a child in that house had access to. You did not feel too much. You felt exactly as much as you were built to feel, and you were placed without your consent in an environment that did not know how to hold it. That is not a flaw in you. That is a mismatch between a child and a house. And the child did not choose the house. The hypervigilance that followed you out of that home, the scanning, the bracing, the quiet and constant cost of being the one who always notices, that was not a personality, it was a protection. The most loyal, exhausting, devoted protection a nervous system knew how to offer. You are allowed to thank it. And you are allowed, slowly, without pressure and without timeline, to begin setting it down. Not all at once, not today necessarily, but in the accumulation of moments where you choose, gently, imperfectly, to trust that the stillness is real, that the kindness is genuine, that you are allowed to take up the space your sensitivity needs. You are always allowed to feel without justifying it. You are always allowed to be in a room and not hold the room together. You are always allowed to exist at full volume, your full, honest, extraordinary volume, without shrinking yourself to fit a house that was too small for what you carried. You are not too much. You were simply in the wrong room. And you are allowed now to find a better one.